Hi friends, my name's Chris, and we're continuing with Kierkegaard's Either Or. This week we discussed The Seducer's Diary, a story where a man manipulates a woman into loving him. We'll cover topics surrounding psychology, ethics, deception, love, and the nature of relationships. I hope you guys enjoy the discussion. That's led us to The Seducer's Diary, to a section where it's a series of letters, of journal entries from a man, Johannes, who has decided to pursue a woman who he ends up becoming engaged to, named Cordelia. And so I think that at this point it's important to contrast the two characters that have kind of been brought up. Johannes and Don Giovanni, and we spoke about Don Giovanni quite a bit. Don Giovanni was a man, a seducer as well. He would go around across Europe and have affairs with married women, with single women, virgins, nuns, just like anyone he could get his hands on. And what he cared about was the erotic, the seduction. Johannes is not a seducer in this sense. He is an incredibly reflective seducer. He's incredibly spiritual. His consciousness is great. He's incredibly aware of himself. He's aware of all of his desires and of his nature. Unlike Don Giovanni, who was almost just like a dog. He would just whatever his current mood was feeling, he would pursue that. That's not who Johannes is. And so the Seducer's Diary begins with, it begins in steps almost. First, it's the initial meeting. He first decides to meet, or he comes across Cordelia, and it's like an accident almost, it's incidental. And he doesn't really approach her immediately, he just kind of observes her, and realizes, wow, she's very beautiful, and now that I have a possibility on my hand, and possibility is the greatest thing for the aesthete. The thing themselves, they're great, but possibility, that's the awesomeness. That's where you get everything you want, or at least where a lot of good can come from. And so he starts to kind of intellectualize this desire that he has for this woman. He starts to intellectualize the possibilities and like the hypotheticals. And so what he decides to do next is to slowly kind of stalk her, essentially. He observes her. He follows her, he sees where she goes, he sees the people she talks to, he tries to understand which social circles she's involved in, her hobbies, her habits, her routines, all this type of stuff. He's gathering information, basically. Um, and it's creepy, and it's unsettling almost. Because it's like, this is a man who has little to no, or basically no ethical backbone. There's no clear rights and wrongs. What is right and wrong is what he desires, and what's aesthetically pleasing, it's what's beautiful. And so he starts to kind of map out the terrain and just stalk her, essentially. And then what he does, which I think is really ironic, because this is something you see like super common people do. Like, I've definitely probably done it. All of you guys have probably definitely done it. If you've ever had a crush, or if you've ever had someone you're interested in, you've probably done it. What he does here is he starts to try and like construct an identity for himself. He wants to be like this mysterious person. In the same way that's like people will try and be performative in the sense like, oh, reading in public, or maybe, I don't know, posting things on social media that shows them, I don't know, doing cool things or having cool hobbies. He starts to kind of construct this identity for himself and build a persona so that Cordelia might notice him out in public. So he knows her routines, he knows what she does, and he'll go to these places, he'll sit on this bench, he'll look reflective, he'll dress a certain way, he'll talk with certain people, he'll just kind of like building this image of himself for her to notice. And it's not a purely authentic version of himself, he's placing himself placing himself in these situations where she might become aware of him. And he wants to entice her and like intrigue her. He wants her to look at him and wonder, oh, I wonder what he's like. Um, I wonder what his personality is. Why is he mysterious? Why is he doing this thing? Why is he doing that thing? He wants to like almost like weasel his way into her mind without ever talking to her. And so he then decides to kind of he plans out the first encounter. He plans out the moment where he's going to talk to her for the first time or approach her for the first time. And so Cordelia, she's not this human in the sense that like we would think relationships or dating um have two humans. It's almost like he's looking at this point, at least in the diary, he's looking at her like a project, like like a complicated project that you're like approaching from different angles and trying to like analyze, like probing, like an experiment almost. It's not treating her like an actual person or just going up and talking to her. He decides to eventually, yeah, have this first contact. And so he'll do small things like just say hello or little compliments, make eye contact, but in a very like meticulous and like planned out way. He doesn't want to be very forward. He doesn't want to appear like he's being totally flirtatious. But the tone of the small conversations he wants them to bring about maybe like emotionally complex feelings or deep feelings or like psychologically twisted feelings. He doesn't want to clearly just be either like a nice guy or a seducer. He wants her to think about him, and to really like meditate on him. Nice. And so then what he ends up doing, is he wants her to become curious. And the second he realizes she's becoming curious in him, maybe she's approaching him every now and then, she's talking to him, he creates distance. And he wants to create this distance so that Cordelia can create an image or a concept of Johannes, without completely knowing him. And so I think it's important at this moment to understand what his end goal is. What is Johannes's end goal? It's definitely not to just have sex or to sleep with this woman. It's not to get married. It's something like more sinister than that. He wants he wants surrender, complete emotional and spiritual surrender, in its most aesthetic form. That is like the peak. And so he's trying to plan out all of his moves in favor of that. Then what he ends up doing is he engages in indirect communications. He writes letters, he kind of frames interactions, he inserts himself in some of these social circles, and then there's the phase where he actually kind of gets close to her, and where it starts to look a little bit like a relationship or like flirtation. Um, and I guess this is where, because of the complexity of feelings that he's invoking in her, very consciously and willingly. Like everything he's doing has a reason and is thought out. He's not just engaging in a relationship and seeing where it goes. It's not improvised. There's zero improvisation going on. He's done this likely before, and he's likely going to do it again once he's done with Cordelia. But he starts to have more intimate conversations. The language becomes a bit more suggestive. Um, there's this like inevitability that he wants to create, or this feeling of inevitability that he wants to create for her. He wants her to believe that there's no other way that things could play out than them being together. He wants he wants her to be consumed by him. And then he finally decides to kind of like trap her and like have her in his hand. He wants to completely secure the tie between him and her. Um, and this is when Cordelia completely reveals her feelings. Yes, I love you. I'm attached to you. And then at this point, Johannes realizes, nice, okay, I succeeded. I did my job. I have her in the palm of my hand. He got what he wanted. He got this deep surrender. but then that's just like, it's over. The game is over. He got what he wanted. And it's almost like a false top, or like a false peak. Because then what he starts to do is he starts to be a little bit hot and cold. He removes himself. Um, he's distant. He's confusing. And he starts to detach himself. And this only leaves her wanting more. He almost like leaves the second they become engaged, the second they kind of promise themselves to each other in a way. He leaves, and this just confuses Cordelia and makes her want him even more. Um, it's like once you take something away, that's when you start to want it even more. Um, and that's, I think, the true emotional peak, where both of them come to an agreement, where they want to be with each other permanently or completely, um, after Johannes left for a bit. And then, so this is where Cordelia feels ultimate safety. It's like she already surrendered herself emotionally to him. He left a little bit, he detached himself, that concerned her. But then he comes back and he reassures her. And then she's finally completely safe and at ease. Um, and that's essentially the end. That's where Johannes decides to complicate things so much, to be so confusing, so indirect, that it makes Cordelia feel like there's no other choice for her sanity and for her well-being than to leave this man. And what he does here is incredibly clever. He's never the one to break things off explicitly. He almost like incepts her, like creates this idea and implants it in her mind that the best thing for her is to leave him. And it's because she's grown spiritually, because she's had these complex psychological emotions and feelings, these awakenings. Um, and so he's almost like off the hook now, all of a sudden. She doesn't hate him completely. She hates herself for leaving a man who made her feel so special. Um, and so I think that's kind of where it ends, and then there's these issues of abandonment and reflection. But all in all, I guess this man Johannes is a complete manipulator. And he's never going to have a relationship that lasts more than a few months or maybe a year or something like that, because once it comes to the point where they've surrendered to him, there's no more game. Once things become predictable, like in a marriage, where you can reliably know that that person is going to be there, there's no aesthetic beauty in that anymore. Um, there's no possibility left. And just like they talked about in The Unhappiest One, in that chapter, that the unhappiest man is the man with no possibilities. And he doesn't want to be that man. He doesn't want his life to have zero aesthetic value and zero possibilities. And that was just my reading or my take on the seducer, on this like spiritual seducer. And I guess there's a lot more things I could ramble about. I could ramble about some of the language that he uses, to really like, I don't know, highlight the aesthetic value. He talks like about food, about her as if she were like food, like this beautiful like delicious champagne, or these fruitful lips. Like he's always using these like gluttonous analogies. He also talks like about defiling her mentally and psychologically. I think at one point even he uses language as perverse as psychologically or spiritually raping her. Like he wants her completely, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way, which is evil almost. I think evil would be like the appropriate word. And then he wants to get himself out of those evil situations, without anyone knowing he was evil to begin with, um, because he makes other people doubt themselves, uh, instead of doubting what was done, and he does it in a very very clever way. but that was the Seducer's diary, essentially, or how I understood it, how I read it. Um, yeah, I'll end there. I'll wrap it up there. There's a lot of questions and things like I'm still like contemplating or kind of debating in my head on whether or not there's aesthetic value in marriage, whether or not possibilities are a high good that we should strive for, um, if we should be delaying gratification, because we all are, in one way or another, very aesthetic people and beings, whether we want to admit it or not. Even actions that we normally deem as ethical or that we think we're doing because of ethical reasons, really it's aesthetic reasons that we're engaging in them. Examples of this, I don't know, that just come to mind would be like exercise. Like oftentimes, maybe not everyone, but oftentimes a lot of people exercise because they think it's a good thing to do. Health is a type of virtue. Really what's happening is that they're getting pleasure out of this. Uh, Not in a very simple, straightforward first order sense. It's not like running around and sweating is comfortable, but the endorphins you get after and the feeling of accomplishment you get after, those are very aesthetic and pleasurable things. Um, and we're kind of lying to ourselves when we're saying that we're doing this for any reason other than an aesthetic reason. Uh, and so yeah, I have all of these thoughts, but I guess I'll just open it up to you guys if you want to share any thoughts, because I'm really interested to hear what you guys thought about the Seducer's diary. Since how evil do you think Johannes is? Is he really really evil off of this reading? Was Cordelia just naive? Who's completely at fault? Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple ideas, but maybe I will leave it to the ones that did read.
Let's hear your ideas. I'm curious.
Oh well, I'd say that no, he's not evil, and that's actually, I mean, the feeling, the desire to possess and to, yeah, to literally possess another person. I think it's very natural, and I think it has a. I mean, no, I'm going to bring an inner debate that I have with me right now. But I currently have the notion that there's no such thing as good people and bad people. Um, because we are too small, too insignificant. I don't know how to say it. That doesn't sound super negative, but it's just that we are amazing. We are these very complex creatures that have very complex thoughts, very complex desires, but we are very small, and we are literally one in several billions. So the idea that you can really decide how your life goes is kind of ridiculous to me right now. You cannot really. What you have control of is very, very small details in your life, and ultimately, we wouldn't really know why Johannes takes this course of action. He wouldn't even really know why he does what he does. So I don't know if that would make him evil, and he's following a profound desire of his heart, and he's doing it to the last consequences. So I think that in itself is commendable. Now, the action in itself, I do agree, it's a bad action, but I don't think that makes him a bad person. He's probably just um, again, this is a very incomplete idea. I I know it has a lot of flaws, but um, he's just following a very natural desire. In a wrong way, yes, I think so. But it's not. I mean, between doing nothing and call yourself a good guy or being Johannes, I think it's better to be Johannes.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think his approach is incorrect. And I think that also, we can also talk about the value of marriage connected to this that you mentioned. Let me talk because, well, at least in my head, marriage is possession, but it is mutual possession. So if I marry, I own my wife, and my wife owns me. We own each other. Yeah. So that desire is fulfilled. And if you do it properly, then you give yourself so much to the other that I don't know how to say it. I have like a very clear feeling in my head, but I don't know how to translate it to words. But yeah, I think it's about giving yourself. But yeah, and with the conscious that you are the property of that other person, and if your counterpart does the same thing, then you end up in a very fulfilling relationship, because each one is doing everything in their power to do the other person happy, and that ends up in a very fulfilling relationship. I think I would say that that's the correct way to approach a relationship, but it's a theory, and these are all kind of incomplete thoughts.
Okay, you said something really interesting that I'm curious about. You were saying that sometimes you just can't know completely why you do things because we're very, very complex. Maybe like Johannes maybe doesn't even know why he's doing what he's doing, but he still has this desire and he's acting on it. Do you think anyone can truly understand why they're doing what they're doing?
I would say no, not completely. That would be my take. That we are not big enough to understand even ourselves. We are bigger than ourselves in a way.
So that whole maxim, like the know thyself, that's impossible.
Fully, yes, but of course it's a good endeavor because you can know parts of yourself. You can understand why you do certain things or certain motivations.
Would you say that knowing with like a certain amount of confidence why you do certain things, like I don't know, I'm looking at it like a 100% scale, like maybe you can't ever get to the 100% of understanding why you did X versus Y, but if you can get to a pretty high confidence level, then
Yeah,
you
I
can
would
just
say
still
so.
generally say, okay, well, I did this because of this. Maybe there were other things playing, but I generally did this because of this. It seems
Yeah.
like Johannes, he's like over and over they're repeating that he's a man of conscience. He really understands himself. He's a very spiritual man. He is not like the Don Giovanni in the plays that don't really know why they're doing it. They just know that it feels good and they do those things, kind of like a child or like an animal. He's incredibly reflective. Do you think that gives you any reason to say that no, what you're doing might just be bad? Like, yes, we all have desires.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and just because desires may be natural, it doesn't mean that they're acceptable. Like if I have the desire, I don't know, to pee or to take a shit, I'm not just gonna do it in the middle of like the classroom. Like that is just that's bad.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like yeah, just appealing to nature. Or to have sex. Like how perverse would that be if every time you wanted to have sex you just grab the person to your left? That's so to me it strikes me that this is an evil man.
Yeah, no, knowing that he's actually like intelligent and reflective and all that, yeah, that would be. I think that points towards him being evil.
And it's weird because he's evil in a way where he isn't hated at the end of it, since it's the woman who he convinced to leave him. She thought it was her idea. It was her freedom, her free will. She's like, no, it's better for me to leave you. She left almost like maybe satisfied or happy. Sure, she might be filled with regret and like confusion. Did I do the right thing? Maybe I didn't. But it's completely up to her, and she doesn't see him as an evil man. She still completely loves him. And that's why it's almost like it's like the consequences warrant of completely hurting or breaking someone. Like, I'll read what is one of the first things that she says. One of the first thing. It's like hatred mixed with confusion mixed with love. So it's like this is the one of the first letters kind of says, I do not, this is like probably more on the side of hatred, but she says, I do not call you mine. I realize very well that you never have been. I'm punished enough by this thought, having once gladdened my soul, and yet I do call you mine. My seducer, my deceiver, my foe, my murderer, my source of unhappiness. I call you mine and call myself yours, as it once flattered your ear, which proudly bent down to my adoration. So shall it now sound like a curse upon you, a curse to all eternity. Don't expect me to pursue you or to arm myself with the daggers so as to incite your ridicule. Flee where you will, I am still yours. It's just like she left him, she still completely loves him, but is angry at the fact that she had to leave him.
Yeah, he's like an evil mastermind.
It's an evil mastermind, but in the moment, in the seduction, it's hard to say that if you're ignoring the consequences, what he was doing wasn't wrong. He was loving, she loved him, their feelings were great. Only until the consequences kind of set in, does he end up doing wrong. But or maybe it's is a nice action still a good, or is a good, let's say, is a good action still a good action if the intention of that good action is misplaced?
I would say I like to think of actions and people as separate in every situation. So you can have an evil person doing something, trying to do something evil, ending up doing something good, and the other way around. I would say so.
So the intention is separate than the consequence.
I would say so. Yeah. So you can accidentally, you're trying to, I don't know, plant a bomb. No, I don't know. I don't have a good example, but you try to do harm and you end up doing some good.
Sure, yeah.
So you are evil, you try to do something evil, and the result was good. Are you good? No, you're not good. But it was an accident.
Yeah.
And the other way around, you have, I think you have a lot of good, stupid people out there doing evil things with good intentions.
Yeah. Evil things with good intentions.
And I would also say that it very much applies to the love sphere, because again, we want to possess and we want to. There's an essay by Milan Kundera about John Bacon in which he talks about his portraits, and he says that the painter is trying to, in some sort of way, rape the personality of the subject he's portraying, like a very primal instinct, very primal desire. And in some way, we all want to do that. But again, I think that the correct expression of that is finding yourself in someone and giving yourself completely, and it fulfills that desire in a very positive, healthy way. But you have a lot of people in the love sphere doing stupid things, doing evil things, hurting each other with very good intentions, trying to fulfill very valid, very profound, and incredible desires. I think it's what makes it more like. I think the most human and high act that we can do is a sexual act, and anything that comes with it, like all the foreplay, all the relationship building. I mean, when you really know a person, because you have a lot of perversions. A rape is a perfect example, no? You are turning the most beautiful act into the most horrendous atrocity. But yeah, I think I'm just.
No, that's good. And it's because Johannes, he's not even doing the physical rape, he's doing the spiritual rape.
Yeah.
I can't think of a dirtier thing. Like, I'm wondering though what you said. I don't know if I agree about possession. I don't know if we should. I don't know if I want to possess someone. I don't know how I feel about possession.
Probably not. I mean, it's an idea. I'm not saying I'm sure, but it feels right to me. I don't know why. At the same time, I know it's an incomplete thought because I don't feel any urgent desire to marry or to be forever tied to someone.
What do you think about the saying, if you love someone, let them go? Is that just nonsensical?
I think it's nonsensical. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Because
why on earth would you let someone go if you love them?
No, for me, if you love the first thing is their well-being, their happiness. That's primary.
Yeah.
And so if being possessed gets in the way of that, that's secondary. I let that go. Almost like an animal. So if they want to be I want to have a pet and I want to cuddle my dog, but if he wants to be outside, he should have the right to be outside.
Okay, yeah. No, of course.
And same with a person.
Oh, and I'm talking about possession with love on top of everything. So again, yeah, you're right. It becomes absolutely secondary, but it is a desire that sees itself fulfilled if you do it properly, and none of the no one in a healthy relationship will feel like the other one is controlling them. It's not about control, it's about love. And if you love, you can possess someone and they can possess you. If love is the first thing, it's not a creepy thing, it's a very fulfilling relationship. I don't know if I'm making any sense, because I understand possession is a very aggressive concept. It's creepy.
Yeah,
but
even like in the most like simple, like should we possess, like do we possess anything? In the most simple, like basically, do I possess? Does it just mean like, oh, I have it in my hand? Like, do I therefore possess it? If I'm borrowing this pen from someone else, am I possessed? Like, I'm trying to understand what it means to possess something. If anyone can possess something, can you possess?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably not.
Or a house, or a thing, or a person. Then
that's a good question.
I think to me the biggest thing is what Johannes is after. It's surrender. That's the desire that so many people have, is to have someone else surrender themselves completely to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's dark or not.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I would say that no, I will change what I said before. I think intention is very important, because if you approach it with the intention to surrender the other person, yeah, you're right. Johannes is never going to have a healthy relationship, because all he wants is surrender, and when he gets that, he gets bored and he walks away.
Mhm. And he does really like interesting things as well in this once he starts distancing himself or like trying to confuse Cordelia after they've said they love each or they like they want to be together and whatever. Um, he he brings in these he starts to say it's like, well, what Cordelia, what's important isn't the social convention of engagement. It's not that other people are looking at us and they say, oh look, they promised themselves to each other. um oh, like marriage is something that society looks highly upon. What matters is that you and me, we care about each other completely. This is just you and me. It's not what the world is saying or the world is saying. It's like it's beyond convention. This relationship should be beyond convention. And I guess that confused her because, like, on one hand, you should think that, yeah, relationships should be beyond convention. Um, but he's like carving out an ethical escape plan, almost. Because if it's wrong for a fiance to ignore your phone calls and your letters. Um, but it's not wrong for just a person to ignore your phone calls or your. It's almost like the label, the social label that we impose on someone else, or that is imposed on someone. It ethically binds you to act in certain ways. A boyfriend can't ignore you in the same way a friend can ignore you. And all boyfriend is a label that you kind of slap on from a cultural standpoint, or from like an external label you slap onto it.
Yeah, and maybe I mean, because you made me think about, for example, I do need, if I'm seeing someone, I need to talk to them often, ideally daily. But it's not because of a checklist or anything like that. I want to, I need to. But there's people that like their space, and they might be even married, but they don't talk to each other throughout the day, and um, maybe they don't see each other for days at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that, so um, I guess it also kind of depends up to a certain degree on every person. Maybe some are more possessive and, and need that feeling of possession. Some that's just not important. Could be. I don't know. I mean, in my mind, this thing that I'm saying about a married couple being owners of each other, with love as the golden mean, as the golden rule. To me, that's a very romantic idea, but I get how it can come as creepy, and it can be even repulsive to many people. So I don't know. You're making me think that maybe it's very. I don't like the idea that it's subjective, but maybe it is.
I feel like sometimes possession can be. Possession is where's the words I'm looking for? It can be a replacement for reassurance. It's like we want to be reassured that that person has surrendered to us. And by possessing it, that is safe. That like that need for reassurance is satisfied. In the same way, like, ownership of a house is satisfied by like the legal piece of paper that like has the contract signing, or the laws in place that protect that contract, or the knowledge that no one can steal it from you because the police could get involved and protect that contract. It's just like a reassurance, like a reassuring thing. If you don't have,
Yeah, yeah. And we love that.
and it's only through possession that you
All
can
our
have that
listeners.
reassurance.
Yeah.
Because I think the
Maybe
contrast,
that's it.
the contrast here between the aesthetic life and the ethical life is that the aesthetic, maybe, yeah, you're starting to sound like a far more ethical person the way Kierkegaard's talking about it here. Because on one, the aesthetic man, he cares so much about possibility. And possession, it removes one possibility. One of the possibilities is of not having the possession, or of something changing, or of possessing something else later. Once you're like locked in on that contract, or once you have surely possessed the thing, possibilities has a possibility has been stripped, and that's the scariest thing for the aesthetic man. That's what would lead you to be as unhappy as possible, to have less possibilities. The ethical man's completely fine with that. There's no issues there.
Yeah. Okay. No, I definitely have homework. Again, that now I'm clashing between. I know that we are all unique. We all have very distinctive features, distinctive personalities, but the idea that love is something that depends upon each subject, it's clashing with me. Because in my mind, love is like the most universal thing, the most powerful thing. So I would tend to think that it has certain rules. I don't know, but maybe it doesn't. Now I need to think of it. I need to read about it.
Yeah, it's weird. We want there to be rules because the thing is so important. And that's
Yeah, and I mean, because people tend to, you talk about rules and people immediately is like, no, we don't want rules. But you cannot play football without rules. You cannot build a painting without rules. Without your rules, you cannot write a book without using a language, and the language has rules. So I think what we should be fighting against is the excess of rules. But having no rules at all is impossible. You simply end up with nothing or with complete chaos. Um, so I am like very sure right now that there needs to be at least some basic rule, some limit to it. And if there isn't, then I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, chaos has no rules, but chaos can still exist.
Mm, I mean, but doesn't it have rules? Any rule?
What are the rules of chaos? Of true chaos. Some people,
I mean,
well, honestly, it might not even exist. Some, like,
yeah, exactly.
you can get into
Like,
physics there. Like,
I would think that it wouldn't even exist. So yeah,
you,
it cannot exist. You need at least one rule, one limit.
so then,
So yeah,
let's
has to be something.
let's say chaos doesn't exist. There needs to be at least one rule. Let's just call that rule X or entropy or something like that. What then is the necessary rule for there to be love?
Oh man.
It doesn't need to be a common language because you can love someone who doesn't speak your language. You can love an animal. It doesn't need to be respect. You can love without respecting. Doesn't need to be patience. Doesn't need to be
You can love without respecting, yeah.
doesn't need to be selflessness. You can selfishly love. I think this is an interesting segue because while we're talking about love a little bit in like the aesthetic sphere, Kierkegaard, he has another book. I think it's called like the Contemplations of Love or like a theory of love or something like that. And he thinks that the way society considers love, it's like we think of it as like we focus and attach ourselves to one object, one person or one concept or one hobby. And in doing so, our view narrows a little bit and it excludes. It's like exclusive. Love becomes exclusive the way we're understanding it, or the way most people understand love. And that's not how it should be. It's this is where he gets religious. It's Christian love. Um, that should be the way we love. It should be boundless and not focused on one thing. You should not just love that one person, putting blinders on yourself. You should love everyone and everything, even the ugly, even the people that piss you off. You should love them all. Love everything. So he thought that society was messing up big time in that sense. Or the secular society was messing up big time in that sense. And I can't help but agree to some extent. That when we love, we start to do things that neglect and exclude everyone else. And that's not right. Like a mother
Yeah,
will sacrifice, everything to save her one child. Someone will do evil things to keep one person or to love one person.
yeah, that's a powerful idea.
Now, is that evil? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Like that's I was watching like Star Wars yesterday. Um and that's literally the whole premise of like Anakin. Like he loved one person so much he was willing to do fucking genocide, like anything. Um and how I don't know, how silly of us to attach ourselves to that concept of love over a Christian concept of love. Or a boundless, and you don't have to call it Christian if you don't care for religion, or like a boundless type of love, a non-exclusive type of love.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, yeah, I have this theory that I do believe that monogamy is the best way to go, but not because it's natural or because, yeah, no. I think we actually tend to polygamy precisely because of something like what you just said. We want to love everyone. Um, I mean, I think if you are healthy, you can also hate everyone. But if you are like sound of mind and have a good relationships and all that,
Yeah.
you want to. It's always a sad moment when a good reunion with friends ends. Because you want to be with them, you want to keep the conversation going, you want to bond more, you want to, yeah. It's this. I have okay. I have a. Let me untie my thoughts.
I'm starting to get concerned a little bit because I'm a monogamous person, like staunchly so, but I've never been able to explain or argue for why it's a more defensible position than than polygamy. Um,
I think it is because we don't have the capacity to fully give ourselves to more than one person. I think it's a matter of capacity. We would need to have more than one body and more than one. We would need to have a broader mind, more than one body, more time, more energy. To me, that's one of the big reasons for monogamy over polygamy. Because you want to give yourself completely, but you cannot do that with multiple people.
what does
Not
it
at the
mean?
same
What does
time.
it mean to give yourself? Is this that surrender we're talking about?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, again, that's my idea.
Yeah.
I'm like very fixated on that right
Yeah.
now. And
Well, I mean, giving a couple examples, for instance, you can surrender yourself to multiple people. I don't know, like think about war. It doesn't need to be one one country that you surrender yourself to. You could just lose against everyone and surrender to everyone. Or same thing about completely giving yourself. That if you accept that, then you have to say that parents cannot fully give themselves to both kids. They need to pick one.
no, I would say that a very big mistake in a marriage is to give priority to the kids.
Hmm.
I would say that the priority is your loved one. Kids are secondary.
Hmm.
As horrible as that sounds.
I think I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to that as well. Yeah.
I mean, and you, of course, you love them. You are going to be with them. You are going to raise them, but they are their own people, and they have to take care of themselves as soon as possible. But yeah, I would say that the priority is your loved one. And I heard something that was really interesting to me about a village in which everyone sleeps with everyone, and that's the convention.
Mm-hmm.
And kids are born, nobody knows who's the father, and just everyone together raises the children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting idea. Like, okay, go ahead. But I I have the feeling that that village is complete chaos because we are still jealous, we are still petty, we are still. I mean, we're still human. So I can just imagine that village is a complete chaos. But maybe it's not. Maybe it works perfectly. It would be worth taking a look at that.
If we're talking about like the ethical reasons for why polygamy or monogamy, um, why they might be like perfectly like permissible, um, you it's I want to always say, ah yes, but we're jealous, ah yes, but we're this, but those are just like appeal to nature. Like just because we have those tendencies doesn't make something morally right or wrong. Um,
Oh,
and so it could very well just be the case that polygamy is perfectly moral, maybe even more moral, and we have these tendencies that just will come up. It doesn't make it less moral.
I would argue against. Um, I mean, I'm definitely not a philosopher, so I may be about to say something that it's wrong on many levels, but I think that we give sexuality too much of a moral approach. And we want to look at it as whether it's right or wrong. I prefer to think of it as whether it works or not. So, again, to me, it's a matter of capacity. It's not about whether it's right or it's wrong. Like I'm going to talk about something a bit sketchy, but
Yeah.
the concept of a threesome.
Oh.
It's like very appealing, at least to men. It's very appealing. Two women at the same time. I mean, what a rush, right? But I think that in practical terms, it's a disaster. I mean, you would need two bodies. You cannot be having sex with one woman and another woman at the same time. So I don't think about it as whether it's good or bad. It's just not practical. It doesn't work. And someone is going to end hurt. I think if they are normal, if they are not psychopaths, if they have feelings, someone is going to get hurt. So it's not a good idea, as good as it sounds. And I think that goes for many things in the sexual realm. Why don't you have a different girlfriend every day of the week? Because it would be a gigantic mess unless you're a super efficient, super organized, super capable person. Even if they all know about each other, there's no capacity. When are you going to talk to each other? How are you going to really get to know every single one of your girlfriends? Yeah.
And couldn't you use that same line of reasoning for friendships? How can you have so many friends? You can't spend so much time with each of them. You can't fully know all of them.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a weak argument, but I would say that you also can't have a lot of close friends.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of good acquaintances, but close friendships, it would be 3, 4, 5 tops.
Yeah, you can't.
Because we don't have more capacity.
You don't have time, yeah. It's a time thing. But I don't think practical concerns should dissuade us from trying to achieve the moral ideal. Even if something is difficult to do, we know that it's possible because there are people out there who, I guess, like, it works for them, or they've they're not hurt, they're not jealous, they've overcome those types of things, or they've resolved them, or they deal with them. And if that is if that is morally ideal, then we should strive for that in the same way that, like, I don't know, recycling or commuting or like walking instead of driving, like, these things are better, right? Like, they're more ethical, but they're more difficult, and they get in the way, like, even just biologically, like, things will get in the way. Like, I might have to spend more time or resources to recycle or to walk, or it might be a little bit achy, or I don't know. Those are kind of bad examples, but just because something is less practical doesn't make it less, doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for it, which is my fear now.
Yeah.
Because it would be terribly difficult. I mean, I'm not a jealous person, but at the same time, I've never been in an open relationship, so I don't know. You know, I can only imagine that those jealous feelings would come up, and I wouldn't want to have to deal with that.
I would say that you can manage it. I would say that it's possible, but it's really difficult, definitely. I wouldn't think that anyone can have I would say that having a romantic relationship just isn't for everyone. And we're definitely obsessed with sex in today's world. But I don't know. I still have the notion that maybe even if I could have a polyamorous relationship, I have the notion that it would be more fulfilling if I concentrate on one woman.
Yeah.
It's just a notion. I don't have like a very hard argument on why it is so, but I don't know. I just have the strong feeling that you cannot have that. I mean, and I'm also obviously tainted by my religious ideas. Yeah, I have this notion that when you marry, you become one with that other person. And if there are more than one, then you break yourself. I don't know. I have this notion that tear yourself apart in pieces if you start giving away to multiple women too. And maybe it's possible. I mean, I also have this notion that it's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe you can do it. Maybe you can manage. But it would have been more fulfilling if you chose one. And it's actually more difficult, I think, in the long term at least. You're committing to one person. I mean, it's a harsh idea. But again, you are not going to walk away when things get difficult. You are going to grow together out of those difficulties. I don't know, but it's a mixture of that and my notion of capacity, of literally that we would literally need more than one body. I think.
Yeah, a lot of things in part 2, in the ethical, or I guess that, I don't know if ethical is the right, everyone, yeah, you contrast this book between the aesthetic and the ethical, and to me, a lot of the ethical parts, if I'm remembering properly, it's more like social. It's more like ethical in terms of like the laws and cultural norms and what people expect of you, and the things that like you think you should do, like chew with your mouth closed or pay on the first date. Like these things that are just kind of like expected of us, but like from a very social standpoint. And yeah, I guess like the next book club will talk a lot about the ethical dimensions of marriage and monogamy, I guess, in turn. How much that is bearing down on our views of monogamy, which I'll think about, but I haven't thought about very much. But I need to go. I gotta go now. However, this was super fun. Thanks so much for showing up and chatting. It would have just been me talking to the camera if you didn't come.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks so much. Hopefully, like, yeah, next week we can continue the discussion. Yeah.
I'll read it next time.
All right, sweet.
Thank you very much.
See you around. Bye, guys.